World News in 5.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
This is World News in 5 here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. The Canadian government has summoned the Russian ambassador to Ottawa over the death of Alexei Navalny and has called on Moscow to conduct a full and transparent probe into the death of the Russian opposition leader. According to a spokesperson from the Canadian government, a senior government official conveyed Ottawa's condemnation over the death of Navalny while he was in Russian custody and called for the immediate release of his body to his family. The spokesperson added that Canada will join partners in holding those responsible for Navalny's death to account. Russia's Federal Penitentiary Service of the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous District announced last week the sudden death of Navalny, prompting Western outrage. Navalny was a vocal critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin and accused his government of vast corruption and opulence. Western countries, including the United States, blamed Russian government for Navalny's death. The Kremlin has called those accusations unacceptable and absolutely rabid. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, Britain imposed sanctions on 6 individuals in charge of the penal colony where Navalny died. British Foreign Secretary David Cameron said the sanctions targeted the head and 5 deputy heads of the penal colony, banning them from the United Kingdom and freezing their assets. Cameron, in a statement, vowed to hold those responsible for Navalny's brutal treatment accountable. The Russian embassy in London denounced Britain's move, saying the measures were dishonest. He also accused Britain of interfering in Russia's internal affairs and passing judgment prior to the completion of investigation over Navalny's death.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
In our news overseas, the Swiss government says it wants to ban Hamas in the country months after the Palestinian militant group launched deadly attacks in Israel that triggered the current conflict in Gaza. According to the Swiss government, a new legislation that is currently being pushed aims to ban Hamas, including cover or successor organizations, as well as organizations or groups that act on its behalf or in its name from the country. It said the ban would prevent the group from using Switzerland as a safe haven or carrying out attacks in the country and would make the expulsions easier to arrange. The law, it said, would also help combat terrorist financing by allowing the Swiss anti-money laundering authorities to better exchange information with counterparts abroad. Hamas's October 7 attack in Israel claimed nearly 1,200 lives, including 2 Swiss nationals. The incident prompted Israel to declare a state of war against Hamas and vow to crush the group. Byrne said the law, which is now in consultation stage, will be limited for 5 years.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
For Philippine Embassy and Consular News, Philippine Ambassador to Kenya, Marie Charlotte Tang, recently held a meeting with Mr. Maurice Okoth, the new director of the Asia and Pacific Directorate of the Kenyan Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, or MFDA, to discuss the two countries' relations. According to the Philippine Embassy in Nairobi, the two officials tackled the activities and initiatives that have been undertaken since the convening of the inaugural meeting of the Philippines-Kenya Joint Commission on Bilateral Cooperation, or JCBC, in February 2023 in the Kenyan capital. The two officials, it said, also agreed to continue close coordination, including in finalizing pending bilateral agreements between the Philippines and Kenya, and in promoting further cooperation in the areas of culture and the arts, diaspora engagement, and labor migration governance and education. Relations between the two sides remained solid in the past decades and are now on track for their 50th anniversary next year. Aside from Kenya, the Philippine Embassy in Nairobi also oversees Burundi, Comoros, Democratic Republic of Congo, Malawi, Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Seychelles, Somalia, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. It also serves as the Philippine mission to the United Nations Environment Program, or UNEP, and the UN Human Settlements Program, or UN Habitat.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.
You just heard World News in 5 here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is Peñano. Good day.
World News in 5.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes.
World News in 5.
Here on Radyo Pilipinas Worldwide.